Good morning, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Storytime with Nick. Today's story is entitled Living with a Broken Head. So, where we last left off, I had just come out of the hospital and gone home. Wasn't going to be riding my bike anytime soon, and I'd learned my lesson after that whole incident, just earlier in the day. So, at this point, we're on our way home, and I am extremely fucking tired. Shit. This numbing stuff really wore me down. Maybe because I was so young, or maybe I was just really exhausted from the pain, but at that point it was actually starting to catch up with me a bit. So, we go home, and I can finally relax. Now, doctor's orders were when you wash your head from now on for a little while, for the next 2 weeks, you have to be careful with the right side of your head, because we want that wound to heal nicely. For the first day and a half, I actually couldn't take a bath or a shower because we had to make sure that the thing dried up just nicely. The wound, right, covered up. I forget what the term for that is, but you know what I mean. So we had to make sure that that happened nicely, so I couldn't take a bath for then, or at least not without washing my hair. So that happened, and after a couple days, I was able to wash my hair again. Felt good. And then there was the matter of school. So we had to go to, well, I had to go to the nurse and say, hey, here's this doctor's note saying I can't be in gym for a while. Enjoy. And funny enough, I ended up missing out on field day this year. I'm not sure if any of you have ever had field days in your part of the country, but we have them here in the Jersey area for at least the grammar schools. So I missed out on that one, and it turns out that that field day ended up being a pile of shit for whatever reason. That year's field day just kind of sucked. Not really sure why, but I was actually told by some friends of mine that day, man, this one sucked. It was way too hot, and it was way too messy. And I was like, that's kind of nice. I got to stay home that day. I got to stay home that day because field day was all day. I mean, as soon as the teachers took attendance, we were right at the fucking door, right to the park. And as soon as we got back, day was over. So I stayed home that day because there's no point in me coming to school, and when I had to miss gym, I had to sit in this little waiting area in front of the main office. There were a bunch of chairs there, waiting area chairs. I had to sit there for the 40 minutes that was the gym period. I didn't mind that, but of course I wasn't going to sit there for 6 hours or just sit in someone's class. I stayed home that day so I could be in the nice AC, and at that point I'm getting 10 years old. Or I am 10 years old, so I'm figuring out how to just survive on my own. I had a toaster oven, and I was able to make myself some food that day. Came out quite nice. So that was the school side of things. Like I said, I did miss gym for that period of time. Even when my staples were still in, I was actually able to go back to gym after the 2 weeks. We're going to get to why they were still in a little bit, but what else? I think that's all the major stuff. So we're going to get into what happens after 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, they were supposed to be taken out then. But when we went to the pediatrician, he said, you know what, I'm going to leave these in a little longer because I think this needs a little more time to heal. Don't you think? So I was like, okay, whatever. It's honestly no big deal to me at this point. It was just weird still having them there. So he said, come see me next week and we'll see what to do after that. So we went back next Monday, and he looked at them again, and he said, you know what? Come back this Thursday. They're like right there. I just want to give them that little extra time to do their work because you're probably already healed, but I just want to give a little buffer. So after the 2 weeks were up, I was actually allowed to go back to gym, and at that point I started telling my story, and everyone was like, ooh, wow, because this was This was a graphic injury story. Of course, fifth graders are going to be fascinated with that. I mean, everyone had their own at that point, so it was nice to join the club, you know. Funny enough, a friend of mine ended up breaking her leg at that same time, just the year before. And, yeah, that was a thing. And she actually had to have a cast for like 2 months, something along those lines. I forget what the whole spiel with that was, but that's unrelated. But so, yeah, she had the whole sign my cast, sign my cast, sign my cast type thing. I didn't have that. Could you go and say, sign my staples? So, we went back, getting back on this part of the story, we went back that Thursday, and he said, okay, they look good. I'm going to take them out. We waited another hour for him to come back because, you know, this is the pediatrician's office. For whatever reason, we're always the last in line. Not sure why. That was always like that ever since. Ever. So he comes back an hour later, and he's like, sorry for the little delay. His words. Little delay. Like, we only waited like 5-10 minutes. We waited a fucking hour. Seriously? But he took them out. Finally. At long last. I was staple free. After almost a month. Yeah, after almost a month. And it felt good. I don't know why, but after those things were out, I felt different. Maybe because I could move my skin a little more freely. Maybe because I have the power to wash my head now. Maybe because there's this lump that's there now. And that's been there ever since. I don't really know what it was, but after those staples came out, I did feel a little different. But it certainly was an experience, if I can say the least. Yeah, I broke my head. I broke my head. So, that does it for breaking my head. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.